African leaders in Ukraine on a peace mission. They will then fly on to St. Petersburg. Um, do you see them as increasingly influential voices, or is there an issue here that their ambiguous stance on the conflict potentially undermines their authority?
They have very little leverage. Okay, they are in Kiev. They are planning to go to St. Petersburg tomorrow and also hold their talks, presumably with President Vladimir Putin. But Putin is determined to continue his war. I doubt he will listen to African leaders, although of course he wants to win their support, as much as President Zelensky also wants to win their support. But for Russia, it is China that is a much more important player, and it's China's position that really matters, because China's position in the conflict really can affect whether Russia is able to get the stuff that it needs, go around the sanctions regime and so on and so forth. But African countries, unfortunately, don't play such a large role in this broader picture.
There is a kind of symbolism of their trip. While they're there in Kyiv, air raid sirens and an explosion has taken place in the Ukrainian capital. That was the Ukrainian defense systems, they say. Now, Ukraine has said that's a message from Moscow as African leaders visit. How do you read that?
Well, that is obviously, that just shows Russia's continued brutality, and shows how much faith they put in this so-called peace mission by African leaders. So it doesn't look very good for them. It does show that Russia basically doesn't care, that they couldn't even hold off for one day their missile attacks on Kyiv. And that, of course, reinforces Kyiv's message, i.e. that you cannot really negotiate with the Russians right this moment.
How do you see the counteroffensive panning out now? Because there have been warnings this week that it's a marathon, not a sprint. You wouldn't expect to see any kind of significant results anytime soon?
Counteroffensive does take some time to pan out. We've only seen a few days or maximum a couple of weeks, really, of fighting, and that will continue for some more weeks before anything can be said definitively. But I think most analysts agree that while it would be very desirable for Ukraine to make territorial gains and claw back some of those territories lost to Russia previously, we also should not overestimate Ukraine's chances, simply because the Russians have reinforced those positions and have put up a determined resistance. So the picture is still mixed for Ukraine. We're still in a very early stage, and we just cannot predict what will happen. I mean, Ukraine has been able to deliver and has been underestimated before. Just think back about the Kharkiv offensive last year, when remarkable results were delivered by the Ukrainians. But I would not necessarily put a lot of faith in their ability to repeat this sort of breakthroughs.
At Times Radio, we bring the front pages to life. Tune in to hear me, Cathy Newman, on Drive every Friday, 4 till 7.